All right, we live.
Okay, hey, welcome back again to another episode of Radio 22's Talk 22, hosted by me, your boy, Mr. to the Jizzle. We're here talking about the topics that you want to talk about, giving it to you with nothing but the perspective of the real. And I appreciate everybody coming through with the conversations and stuff that we came through last time. Had a nice talk with our guests, and I appreciate everybody that came through and followed with us last time. As we always do, I appreciate everybody leaving comments and all this different stuff that we need to say in the comment section about the topics that we share. Um, but yeah, we're just gonna step right into it and say that the way I was looking on the internet and like I always do, and I see that there was a lot of conversation in the sports world. That gets me excited because anybody knows MJ knows that I am a sports fan. So for me to be a sports fan, I'm all the way into it. So I appreciate everybody that follows that. And we're looking at it and we see that sports is back. So those of us who like sports, we are happy about that. But sports isn't all the way back, is it? The thing about it is, in some leagues, we're seeing that it's not happening. And the reason why it's not happening is because of, like everything else here in 2020, coronavirus. The coronavirus has hit us, and we are still all trying to adjust to it and trying to get around that. It's taken back all of our lives in different directions that we were accustomed to or used to, and we all got to kind of pivot and try to adjust. But with that being said, I got a strong panel today that tells me, and these fellas know a lot about the different sports and fitness aspects of the game. They are like, when I say they into it, they're all the way into it. So I'm gonna just bring it out to y'all. Today from the Milwaukee area, I got artist by the name of Prince. Prince, can you tell the people what's good? Unmute your mic and tell the people what's good, please.
What's good, everybody? I'm Prince. I go way back with MJ and Corey on Radio 22, all the way back to Deuce Deuce Entertainment.
Exactly.
Currently, I'm a personal trainer out in Wauwatosa, and I also do personal training online now. So that's a little bit about me.
That's what's up. We appreciate you for coming through. Also in the Milwaukee area, I got my homie Rob. Rob, say what's up to the people.
What's up, everybody? This is Coach Rob, high school basketball coach, also AAU coach, and then I do basketball training and core fitness training as well for Train MKE. So
that's what's up. We appreciate you coming through as well, Rob. Also on the line, we got the homie Jones. Jones, let the people know what's good.
What's going on, everybody? Jones, former UWM player, also former UWM coach. Now I'm a dean of students at a middle school, Greater Holy Temple Christian Academy.
Yeah, all these people here on the line, we go back, so it should be a good one, y'all. But let's just step right into it. So I'm gonna address the first question, and with the first question, I'm gonna go right to you, Jones. With everything that we see going on in the world with this coronavirus and all the different stuff we just went through all the quarantines and all that stuff that we're going through. We see big leagues like the Big Ten and other people had to pull back and everything. But I guess the question is, should we or should we not even be playing sports through all this time with the coronavirus?
As far as like the Big Ten in college, I think it's going to be very difficult to start any sport until we do have some type of cure for the coronavirus. Lives matters more than anything. As much as I love sports and love to see it, I know how much it means to a kid because I've been in a position before. I just think being healthy and having life is more important.
Okay, I definitely can agree with that. Rob, you play with the kids in not that you play, but you coach the kids in the AAU program and whatnot. And you know how important sports can be to young kids as they're growing up and the development that it takes, not even just the NBA players, but like the youth. I mean, is this a lot of us are parents now. We look at it. Should we be even letting our kids and whatnot play in these leagues?
Well, I mean, if you'd asked me this when this pandemic first happened, I'd have been the first one to say absolutely not. And originally, my kids from my AU team, who I've had since 5th grade, was really adamant about playing, and I was like, no, we don't have enough understanding about it. But since we got more understanding, like for the last month and a half, we've kind of been traveling, still playing our 17U and been kind of doing well. I think the biggest thing as we get more understanding is that we just got to figure out a way to be safe. I mean, the NBA did it with the bubble system, obviously, but we got to figure out a way to be safe. We participated on the Prep Hoop Sports network, and I felt like they probably did it as safe as you can possibly do. Now, is it a foolproof? No, but I think when I went to their event and we played at their event, I felt like we were safe. But I do also agree that all sports might not be able to do that. It's like I don't think everybody can. I know WIA is talking about maybe letting things like golf or something like that or basketball, but I understand like all sports might not be able to do that because for a number of different reasons. But I love the idea because I understand we got to do safety and all these different things, and that's important as well. But I think we can figure out a way to be safe, even though it's difficult. And I do think that you just can't do all sports. So.
Now, we can understand that. Prince, I'm going to address the same question to you. With everything going on in the climate that we're living in with the coronavirus, there's some people, who say we should play. Some people say we shouldn't. But, I guess in your perspective, do you believe that this is the thing that we should be doing? Should we be playing sports in this time?
In my opinion, I don't think we should be playing. We still don't have we don't have a cure. That's just the bottom line. We don't have a cure for coronavirus, unfortunately. And I just can't. Looking at it as a parent, if my kids were on the sports team and this happened, this hit when they were coming up, I would absolutely not let them play. They can hate me all they want to, but like my boy Jones just brought up, life is more important than the game. You know what I'm saying? You can't play the game if you're not alive. That's the bottom line. So, but there are some systems in play right now that could kind of offset infections or people being infected or whatever. But again, it's still not, it's not foolproof. So, yeah, okay. That's where I sit with that.
All right, appreciate that. We're gonna go on to the next question. I'm coming right back to you, Prince.
Okay.
I think Rob talked about the bubble system. That was something that the NBA adopted. And for those of you that don't know, that's where they kind of allowed the NBA players to get tested and live on the property and be amongst each other, but they couldn't mix with anybody else. So they kind of were living within a bubble in that way. And within that system, they looked, and so far it's been quite positive. They haven't had any positive cases since doing that. Do you believe, Prince, that the bubble system might be an answer to safe play for some of these leagues?
I suppose it could be. Like you said, there hasn't been any infections or any known infections. Everybody's got to get tested to play, right? So, it could be something that works moving forward with the NFL. We'll see how that. Are they going to be doing the same thing with the NFL or something similar?
Not necessarily, because with the NFL they have to travel just like they do in the MLB.
Yeah.
So they couldn't all stay on one compound in the Disney area like the NBA is doing right now.
Yeah.
So no.
Well, in some situations, yeah, it'll work. It can work to a certain degree, but not all. I guess we just gonna have to wait and see what happens moving forward. So.
All right. Jones, what's your thoughts on the bubble? Do you think the bubble's the answer, or is the bubble just a quick fix for this NBA season?
I think it's definitely just a quick fix for this season. And I'm happy that it is working, because I think they put a lot of time and a lot of thought into it. I don't think they just threw anything together. And I think if you just throw anything together, it could have worked out for the worst. But it is working at the moment. But I think it's only a quick fix. And I don't think, again, every sport's going to be able to do what the NBA does. The NBA has a lot of money, and I think they invest a lot of time. And the one thing about the NBA, unlike most other sports, they're kind of all on the same page as far from the top to the bottom, as far as the commissioner, as far as the people in the front office, as far as the coaches, and as far as the players. And you could get everybody on one page to agree and understand what they plan for and the consequences behind if anybody makes a mistake. I think you have a chance. But again, all it takes is one outbreak to change the whole outlook. So I'm happy what they're doing right now, and it looks good. But again, it's a chance regardless of taking. It's a chance. It's a chance that can work for the worst. But I'm happy to see that it's working for the best at the moment.
Okay, Rob, the way we look at it, I mean, do you think like even like maybe in the schools and whatnot? Maybe in the kids league, do you think bubble leagues could be the answer?
It for NBA, obviously, I think for the NBA, I honestly think it is the answer. I feel like you test everybody's positive, you clean the space, and then you put them in this space. You essentially quarantine. It's no different from being in a house. Now, moving down, maybe collegiately, you could do it, but you would have to. We were thinking, and we were talking about this a couple weeks ago. When you talk about a bubble format, it would be on the teams to necessarily bubble their team. So I could see a college like you say UWM, where we went to school at, putting their team in a bubble, you know what I mean, so to speak, or the athletic program putting their team in a bubble where they kind of live and practice and so forth and so on, and not interact with everybody else. And then you get, say, UW-Madison doing the exact same thing. Now you guys could possibly meet in a situation where, you guys can potentially play. Now, high school, there's no way in the world, there's no way you can control that where you can honestly say, kids are going to quarantine. They supposed to be quarantined when it was at its peak, and they were protesting, they were doing all these other things. So yeah, going down, absolutely, you can. I mean, I think the safest way probably is, to do what some of the AAU programs is doing, doing things ahead of time, trusting in the coaches like us. Hey, if someone is sick, don't bring them. They're checking their temperature when they get there. Obviously, it don't solve the asymptomatic, situation or whatever. But I can see it potentially working in a collegiate system if you can get programs, and maybe NCAA can put things in place to ensure they are bubbling, for so to speak, and then be able to potentially play. But that's risky as well for the NBA. I certainly think it's working, you know what I mean? For the ones who are in it, and do it for real, it does work and allow us to get that entertainment. But as you go down, it gets more and more and more tricky. Only reason I say college is because, as Jones know, being a college athlete, it's almost like the pros, so to speak, only you add school, but ball is life pretty much, you know what I mean? When you're there. So, the coaches, can have a certain amount of control and bubble it out. But that's the closest I see them get. After that, high school, absolutely not. Middle school, no. I mean, yeah.
What about okay, John? Thank you for that, Rob. What about for testing, Jones? Do you think like on the college level, like he's saying, Rob is saying, do you think what if we had a program where the athletes were just tested like on a weekly basis, like professionals are?
That would be ideally if you're trying to do it, but it's just the level of, for instance, a UWM and a Madison, we don't have the resources that they have. I mean, at Kentucky and UWM, we just aren't the same. We won't be able to get the same thing. Our bubble is not going to be a Kentucky bubble. You know what I mean? A Kentucky bubble, they could sit in their locker room in their locker room, they have everything they need. And our locker room, it's just not the same.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it would be just an unfair playing level. I mean, as far as actually having a bubble. I mean, and the other thing I think you have to restructure conferences where that way you're not necessarily, I don't know if you're flying, but maybe you're just busing to places, or you just changing the travel dates or travel time for it's not as long and you're not going for that long. But I think with college kids, also maturity-wise, the NBA, they're just a lot more mature.
Yeah.
And college kids, they're not all going to be there. You're dependent on 18-year-olds to follow rules. And that's just going to be tough within itself.
That is tough. I mean, as we know what those college parties is like, we all had our day.
Right. So
those that going through it right now, I feel for you because coronavirus just ain't giving you just due to some of us. We know what that's like. Anyhow, we're going to the next question. Going to you, Prince. Do you believe that it should be up to the players and or the parents whether the league should be canceled or not? Should it be up to the league or should it be up to the participants?
Are we talking about, you're talking from
college, high school, grade school, whatever?
Okay. I mean, there's definitely going to have to be some kind of parent involvement because, I mean, your parents ain't looking at you as if you're in college, for example, they ain't looking at you as you independent, you a grown man or grown woman, you can take care of your own day. No, you still their baby. You still my baby. I ain't sending your I ain't sending your butt nowhere. You know what I mean? So yeah, I'm gonna say parent is gonna have to be some parent involvement as well as participant involvement. But I mean, we already know who's gonna win the argument with the parent and the child. Well, we should know who's gonna win that argument. It ain't always that cut and dry. So, but
yeah. Okay. Rob, the way that we look at it, with the way that the Big Ten decided to cancel the fall season right now, there's a lot of parents that are upset about that. There's a lot of players who believe that the only reason why they are at some of these schools is to play to make it to the next level.
Yeah.
I mean, that is their ticket. And for you to kind of take that away, that opportunity, they just don't feel that that's just. I mean, what do you feel about that?
I think they're right because at the end of the day, like we push education both on the university and high school level, but the reality is some of them have made that commitment to essentially try to be a professional athlete. So when that changed all of a sudden, then I think the parents should have had some type of involvement in that or have at least some type of understanding. Now, I believe that the NCAA also gave them maybe transfer options or transfer clearance, if I'm not mistaken. People who might
want to talk about that, yeah.
Or they maybe be talking about it to be able to allow them to go to school that might be playing. But no matter what level it's on, there should be some type of parental involvement for a number of reasons, just so they know what kind of risk that their parent is at, or I mean that their student is at. Or kid is at, see what kind of risk that is that they're taking so they can, fully understand what they're committing themselves to. And that's even on the AAU level. When I was getting in tournaments, I had the director right away and say, what is your COVID, Some said, hey, some believe it was a conspiracy. They just said, man, we good. We just play. Everybody, we prayed up. And I was like, that don't work. We're not coming to that. Others said, everybody, some people you got to wash your hands. You got to sanitize. We're doing temperature checks and all those different things. And then now I could take that to the parent and say, look, this is what they're saying to do. And some say, well, my baby ain't gonna play this time. Something, okay, that's cool. Then you make sure they're good. And then also, other things that we switched in place as a team, as a coach and a director myself, we changed some things as well in terms of how we stay in our hotels. But yeah, definitely parents got to be involved. They might not have to necessarily make the ultimate decision, but it got to be some type of collaboration or communication, or somebody on board, whether it's a parent president or something like that, to say, hey, this, what are y'all putting our kids at risk? What are they gonna be doing? So
yeah. Okay, so Jones, do you believe that it should be up to the leagues to make these decisions? Or, I mean, the way we look at it, I mean, it should be student athlete, and you should be a student first.
Right.
But as we know, And a lot of these schools, like we brought up some of the schools that are big name schools, people go to those programs for one reason and one reason only, and it's not for their academics. Uh, should they have some say so in whether or not the league is going to go forward or not?
I mean, in everything that you do as a college player to a certain age, you got to get signed off regardless, you know. So, of course, a parent is going to have a say so if it goes on. But it's going to have to be, like, again, another one of those situations where everybody would have to be on the same page, where you understanding the risks, but you also understanding this is things we have to do. We have to be masked up. You have to be washing your hands. We have to have everything sanitized. We have to, like, the things that help prevent it from coming, everybody got to be on the same page. But if you could go to a gym where they say we good, we pray it up. Like, of course we need to be prayed up, but at the same time, we got to take action, you know, that we be able to get everybody to be on the same page. If you're not going to get everybody on the same page, that's all it takes. It's just one person to ruin, I like to say, one bad apple to ruin the bunch, you know?
Right. God helps those who help themselves. Is that not right? Is that not what the scripture says?
That's what scripture says.
So, okay, well, we're gonna leave it at that. Going on to the next question. Prince, are we okay with sports with no fans? I mean, the way it is right now, that was their answer, is to not have any fans there. But like at this point, with the current presidency and everything that we have going on, I don't really see an end to this coronavirus anytime soon. With that being said, like, are we okay with having sports back, or do we feel like fans in the building is important? Do they matter?
Absolutely. Absolutely, fans matter. But at the same time, it's a health crisis out there. You know, we got to protect ourselves. I mean, it's hard as hell watching sports on TV and not being able to go to some of these events. I haven't been to the new stadium, man. Right when I was about to go, that's when the coronavirus hit. I was about to go like 2 weeks before it hit. Bucks was number one. I'm like, yeah, I'm about to go see these niggas win the championship and everything. And coronavirus canceled that. So I mean, to answer your question, it's absolutely important that fans be at the games. It's just a different dynamic. I'm sure the players feel weird as hell just seeing a couple of coaches and other players on the bench. It's like basically just going to practice and playing against each other, and that's it.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, LeBron called it like an AAU type of league this summer, you know, with the way that it was being played down there in Disney. So yeah, that's the way he felt about it. Jones, like, with no fans being in the building, I mean, this is America, right? We should figure out some type of way that fans can be in the building, like, be it plexiglass in between people or something. There should be some type of way that they can develop a way that fans can be in the building other than this virtual fan stuff that the NBA adopted, which I give them props for doing that, but it is kind of weird. Sometimes you see baseball games with the fake cutouts. I mean, some of these other ones is just kind of weird, you know? So how do you feel about no fans being in the building?
Man, I can remember playing in the NCAA tournament and you got like 33,000 people screaming, but when you in the game and you focus on your game plan, you don't really hear or see them at all. Oh. So, you know, fans definitely add a whole dynamic to the game. For me, it's great to see players still play with so much passion without having the fans there and just be there for their teammate, because that's what sports is really all about. You know, showing how they cheer on one another, and so it's really dope to see how, you know, the guys get so excited for one another. They're their biggest fans, so that's pretty cool to see. True. But man, if we gonna do it, let's get a big plexiglass. You said, put it up, you know. But at the same time, you wouldn't be able to do it. I mean, fans. Once you know fans not gonna follow rules. I mean, you know, can you imagine the Las Vegas Raiders or Packer fans, you know, be trying to control them and give them rules. It's just impossible. So it should never. It's not gonna happen. But like I said, the virtual thing is cool. But I like to see the passion the players still have without the fans being there.
I mean, some sports get away with this. Like golf is a sport that you want everybody to be quiet, so you don't necessarily want anybody there anyway. But I mean, are we ready to see Aaron Rodgers throw a touchdown and no Lambeau leap? I mean, are we ready to see, you know, some of these things that like we're used to seeing the fans, like you talk about the Raider fans going crazy, nuts and stuff. I mean, you want to see some of the fan interaction, you know, on the thing, but at the same time, Rob, I'm gonna go to you with this same question. We look at it, you know, there's sports like Major League Baseball that already had plans anyways with all the fans that got hit with baseballs and stuff to kind of limit the fans' closeness to the game by putting up nets or whatever they had to anyways. Do you feel like there's a way to still have fans there and make it safe for fans?
No, I don't, to be honest, because I think it's not even so much as the fans giving it to the players, but also spreading amongst each other. I think it's the biggest concern as well. And then again, you know, like Jones said, you know, they don't listen, especially when you add alcohol into the mix. That is really kind of get ugly. So they just not going to listen. I just think as long as we don't have a cure or a vaccine, I don't think we can allow. Maybe you might do an exception if you can create some type of, you know, testing thing, or maybe the test it can get more instant or something of that nature where you can allow that. But that's sound like, even saying that sound like it's a mess. But I tell you what, even watching the NBA game, I got used to it, but it was real weird in the beginning. Just looking at it, just like, what? You know what I mean? But you know, like RJ, no, you know, when you hoop before, that has been some of the best games too. It's funny, my guy Ward was trying to talk about, you know, how even some of the NBA players actually seem to be playing better without the anxiety of those fans, you know, so they clicking on all cylinder, which you would normally see them playing in practice, but when they get on that court with, you know, like you said, 35,000 fans, you know, anywhere from 18 to 35,000 fans looking at you, it just becomes different, you know what I mean? So now you 2 for 19 as opposed to 17 for 19, you know what I mean? So it definitely adds a different element, and that's where the whole nature of home field advantage came into play, you know what I mean? You have your fans involvement, but I think you said it, but it just looked weird though. And then you said it's cool. I don't even like that little Twitter. Just don't put nothing back there. I don't want to. That makes it even weirder. Like, cut all that off too, man. Like,
all the cutouts
or TV. Like, quit doing all that.
Yeah. I mean, I think even like WrestleMania and all that was even without any fans and whatnot. So I think even the wrestling. Even sports like that, they had it where no fans, and it just don't even seem the same for shows like that, you know? So when you talk about the actual like sports that people are accustomed to having the fans, that's just wow. So anyways, we want to definitely say shout out to Damon, who also said fans be nasty as hell under the normal conditions, and I guess I gotta agree with that. You know, I mean, if anybody who's been to the Brewers bathrooms or whatnot, they know, fans do be kind of wild with this. So yeah, I agree. So I appreciate y'all for commenting. All of y'all listen out there. We're gonna go on to the next question. Has the value of sports kind of diminished with the coronavirus, in your opinion? I'm gonna go to you, Rob. Go right back to you.
No, I don't think it's diminished. I think we probably realize how much more important it is, and how much it is involved in everyday life, and how important people take sports. You know, like when people say that ball is life thing, and it's not just basketball, you know, we say that in football and other sports as well. It's like, you see the value of it, not only from a monetary standpoint, but from, you know, what we're seeing now with the mental health of our kids. You know, sports is really, really heavy into our communities, into our lifestyles, all those different things. So it definitely have diminished. I think it's increased. In my opinion, it has increased the value of sports. So yeah.
Okay. Jones, I'm gonna ask you the same question. I mean, when we look at it, with all the things going on in the world, there's been police crisis, we got the social unrest, we got different things like coronavirus and all the health. We got a presidential election coming through. There's a lot of important things popping up here in 2020. Is sports even the same to you, or has it lost its value?
I mean, I truly believe that. I see it both ways. I see it where we needed everything to freeze to address, the crisis as far as Black Lives Matter, the social injustice. Like, we had to see that, and we weren't going to be able to see that in mid playoffs or mid, other sports going on. We weren't going to be able to see that. A lot of people was going to turn the channel and watch what was actually happening in that sports. But to have that frozen and have that time freeze and to have people come together, because I think that's important. I also think, for myself, I know for sure without sports, I don't know if I would have made it as far as I did. So I understand what it does for your mental. I understand what it does. Because some kids, especially children that I know that I teach at my middle school, sometimes that's all they have to get out of their situation, and it helps their life and it helps their mental state of mind. So I could see it both ways, but I am happy that it did get a chance to freeze for the time that it did, because I think the social injustice and with the presidency and everything that's going on with that, I think we really need to freeze everything else to really get a look at and be able to see it in a magnifying glass.
Okay. Prince, yeah. There's just so much going on in the world, man. I mean, to real talk, I was real close to just changing the whole dynamic of this show after what popped off in Kenosha just this week. We all know, I mean, that's what's on our minds right now. Not so much this coronavirus thing or anything like that, but, I still want to address this the way that it goes, but as sports kind of diminished its value through that time, or, I mean, you got players like on the Bucks that were saying they don't even know that they want to practice this week because they are so concerned with what even happened in Kenosha and the stuff that is going on in the front lines of Black Lives Matter and such things like that. I mean, has it lost its value to you, or is it still important?
I believe it's definitely still important. Just piggybacking off of what Jones said, I mean, with everything that went down, we needed that time to freeze everything, but like with everything happening now, I think we wouldn't be able to appreciate sports if none of this happened then, now, as much as we are. Like with the Black Lives Matter, like I just remember like flipping through the channels one day, leaving out from a session with one of my clients, and I seen I think it was a Lakers game. I can't remember. Something like that. They were interviewing LeBron or something like that. And he was saying some real ish. And I'm pretty sure y'all saw that interview. Mm-hmm. But I mean, that's what we need. And sports is like that outlet. We need that for us. That's kind of just like thinking about, what's going on outside. We need that distraction. And these are people that, kids look up to, these sports stars. And I can talk about, and I can even go a little deeper than that. When I was a kid growing up, if it wasn't for football or baseball, I'd probably be locked up or 6 feet under. And I work with some kids at the Boys and Girls Club with Corey that I can say the same thing for. And I can't imagine what some of them going through now. So without sports. So yeah, sports is definitely important, more important now, I think. And it will be moving forward after this, I think. So.
Okay. Shout out to one of our listeners that said that sports has helped politicians distract people from the issues, but they still believe that it's very necessary to have sports probably for the same reasons you guys just said. We need that balance, the yin to the yang. So we're gonna move on. Do you feel that it's safer for outdoor events than it would be for indoor events. Like, I mean, we spoke about like some sports may be more doable, like we said, in some of these circumstances than others. Do you believe that, there's some out there that will say that sports that are outdoor are safer to play than those that are indoor for the virus, I guess, to infect them? I don't know if that's scientifically true, but that's kind of what's just been said around the internet. Rob, I'm gonna go to you. Do you feel like it's a safer play for those contact or non-contact sports that are outdoor versus indoor?
Yeah, I think so. And that's just mainly just about the research and some of the things that I've read. Now, it's just safer than indoor, in my personal opinion, but it's still a high risk in terms of the dangers of it, but and how close you can be to people. But outside, you have less issues like doorknobs and restrooms and all those different things that you share within a indoor type space to possibly get infected, according to research in terms of touching stuff and then touching your face and all those different things. So yeah, I do honestly believe it's safer out there. Obviously, it's more spaced out and all those different things. So yeah, it's just that it's kind of half and half. Some sports are played outdoors, some aren't. So it's still like it goes back to the question before, like some sports, we might be able to do in that bubble format, and then the outdoor sports we might be able to do outside with it being, more spacious and all those different things. But I personally think the risk is there. But if I had to choose one or the other, outdoor safer.
Okay. Go to you, Jones. That being said, with the NBA having the bubble the way that they had 0 people come back afterward with infections. Whereas we've seen sports like the MLB wasn't so lucky. Them being an outdoor sport, they still caught quite a bit of cases. Yeah. Do you feel like there's a difference between safety when it comes to the indoor sports versus the outdoor sports, or you feel it's all the same?
I believe that outdoor is definitely a little safer because of the flow of the virus and how it can diminish in the air a lot quicker than being inside. Inside, it's going to circulate a lot and affect more people, in my opinion, and what research has said. But as far as baseball and the bubble, again, baseball, they traveled and they did different things. They allowed people to be at a hotel and they were able to leave the hotel, or they weren't allowed to leave the hotel, but they left the hotel and came back. So they didn't have the discipline that the NBA did, So I think I would go for outside, like Rob said. I would go for outside too, but still outside, you got to keep your social distance. You still got to have your mask on, and you can't have that many people at one place at one time, regardless. So I can't see a football arena, the Packer Stadium, getting full of fans, and just because we're outside is safer. I don't believe in that, but I do believe being outside in general is safer than being indoors.
Okay. Yeah, we did see that this season alone, the MLB has scheduled 37 total games got postponed due to positive COVID-19 cases just this year, and they only had 60 games to play. So, I mean, the MLB, we've seen they might not have the answers, whereas the NBA does seem to have a better grip on it, but that's just this season. We'll see how it goes next season. Prince, I'm going to ask you the same type of question here. We did look at it, though. We want you to get a chance to address it, but a lot of the youth leagues, they had the baseball and the softball leagues go on this summer, despite the coronavirus. And a lot of those leagues never had to cancel. We have seen a lot more kids that have picked up coronavirus, where before they did say kids weren't getting it. We saw that was a lie. Same way they said black folks don't get it, and we saw that was a lie. The kids do get it, but we haven't had enough cases that they've shut down these leagues this summer. Do you feel like it's safer for the outdoor sports than it is for the indoor?
Definitely outside will probably be more safer. And I work in fitness, so a lot of my clients that came back after everything, after quarantine, we've been training outside, practicing social distancing. Everybody got their masks 6 feet apart, staying in your designated place. When we first opened up the gym, we had it was about 400 or 500 people that came back, and now we're down as a daily attendance, 160, 200 people in the gym. You know what I mean? So I definitely think just with that by itself, outside would be the way to go. You got a lot of people coming in, not washing their hands when they get done using the machine, or not wiping off the machine, going outside and just, some of them not even putting on their mask. So, and that's just indoors. So it's outside definitely is more the safer way to go. So.
Okay. I'm gonna go back to you, Jones. Should they be wearing masks on the field or the court? Would you feel safer if the athletes wore masks?
Man, that's a tough one because have you tried to run with a mask on? I almost passed out.
It's not very easy.
No, it's not easy at all. So now you don't got to worry about the corona. Now you got to worry about passing out. Now that's just too much to worry about at one time. You know what I mean? I don't. If you're quarantining yourself and keeping your social distance like they're doing in the bubble, I don't think you need the mask on for the sport wise. Okay. And I don't think you should. I don't think you need it. And I think it just make it more difficult. I mean, they already talking about we can't see their names on the back because they put the words on the back, which I do like seeing how the NBA got the Black Lives Matter and just no justice, no peace, and all that stuff on there. But now you're talking about putting a mask on somebody's face. That just I don't know. I don't think that'd be healthy for them. But like I said, how the NBA is doing it to the point where they keeping everybody separated, keeping everybody in a bubble, and then when they go out the bubble, coming back doing their quarantine thing. I think the NBA has it right for right now. But I don't think you need masks while you're playing the sport.
Okay. Rob, I mean, it's a tough thing because even politically it's been said, I don't know, either masks work or they don't, I mean, even a lot of people said about the kids going back to school this year or not. Either the masks work or they don't, and, it's very politically infused with a lot of stuff and propaganda with these masks. I mean, do you feel like the mask is the way to go when it comes to playing sports?
I don't think they can. You know what I mean? It's like, again, if you playing as hard as you do, you trying to find air, just without the mask before this coronavirus stuff, you know what I mean? So the mask thing definitely is very not only uncomfortable, but it seems as if it's harder to breathe in it. You know what I mean? When you walking and different stuff like that. It's so many times I thought I hit it because I was I was breathing because I shorted the breath because of the mask. I was like, man, do I got corona? But I don't think they can. You know what I mean? And again, like I even had because some of the events. If you're not on the court, you got to have your mask on, including even on the bench. So some players struggle with the fact they're like, oh, I got to put this on because they just came out the game, so they tired. They was playing hard. So I don't think they can unless they come up with some type of special mask that would allow you your air to be restricted. I mean, not be restricted, but allow you to be able to breathe better. So I mean, scientists have definitely come up with other things. I could see that happening, but as of right now, no. And with the bubble system, again, if you test everybody and you're not around anything, you're good. I understand every sport can't do that, but if you got to do a mask, you might as well not play then. You know what I mean? So it's another danger with that too, because I think we heard. I only heard about the one case, but they said somebody was trying to play one with a mask, like in China or something, and fell out and passed away. And they blamed that on the mask. But when we played an event in Omaha, we actually seen 2 kids on the team playing with a mask like the whole game. So I guess it's each his own, but I don't see how, just from personal experience, it's hard For me to just wear it on a daily basis.
I hear you. Prince, you in the fitness world. People in the fitness world, a lot of times people do train with masks. I've seen people with those BAME type masks. People training in that type of atmosphere. Do you feel like sports can be played with masks?
Again, just I'm gonna have to piggyback off my boy Rob. If scientists can create something that works, where your air ain't as restricted as with the regular mask, then absolutely. But just looking at how we got it going on at the gyms, we lost a lot of our population because of the mask. Don't nobody want to be running on no treadmill for a half an hour with a mask on. You might as well walk around the gym one time with the mask on and call it a day after that. You know what I'm saying? So,
Right.
I mean, yeah.
They ain't trying to fall out.
They ain't trying to fall. I mean, unless they're getting their butt whooped, if they're getting a good workout, then yeah, that's something else. But that's without the mask. So
yeah.
But
okay. Well, we're gonna go to the last question. Now, my dad always said that while I was playing sports, I was a student first, and he said that if I'm not participating and not doing well in school, then I couldn't play, right? So my question to you is, if we can't go to school and school is virtual or we can't participate in school, should we be able to still participate in sports leagues? So I'm gonna address that to you first, Jones.
Oh man. I guess it's just as far as the levels, as far as you're talking about middle school to high school, I don't think, and you could have the regular high school league right now, but I think you could do maybe the AAU stuff because it's just different. I'm not sure, but I would say it definitely goes hand in hand. I think you got to have both in somebody's life because it's only better than both ways. I mean, if you can go at sports the same way you can attack your education, and you can develop those habits that sports and training helps you, it's going to help you with your education, but it's going to also help you throughout life. I think you got to kind of have both in order, regardless. I think you got to try to have both. So if I go to virtual school, and I'm playing in a high school, and they get high school going for somehow, just say we just got the teams there, that's it, playing, then I think you have to be able to go to school and you got to be able to do your work, and even in college, if they're going to find a way and it's safe, which I know, but I think they go hand in hand. I think you can't do one without the other.
Okay, so even in college, you're saying if they were to have college sports, let's say at Florida State,
right?
They should then still have class.
Not necessary class. I think they could do virtual. Like I think we do virtual class, especially for the older, like high school, more college. I think they could have a better chance of doing virtual. I mean, most colleges now they have online classes, so I think that wouldn't be too much different, in my opinion.
Okay. Prince, like I said, my pop said, if you can't take your butt to class, then you can't get on that court. Do you agree with that statement that if there is no school, there should be no sports?
Yeah, your pops was right, man. I mean, it's hand in hand. It's discipline. It's discipline in the classroom, discipline on the court or the field or whatever your sport of choice is. So with the current situation, if you're talking about a college kid and they figure out a way to make the whole college athletics work, then I mean, they can figure out a way to do virtual classes. They're already doing online classes. So I mean, that's already a thing. But I mean, if they were to figure out how to implement athletics as safe as possible, then absolutely. You need to attend your class. You need to do your work. You need to keep your grades up. I think it would be easier now to keep your grades up in a virtual setting. I mean, you got your materials right there. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying go ahead and cheat on the test or whatever like that, but it'll be hard. It would be hard to not do good at school right now. You know what I'm saying? So that's where I'm at with that. School and sports go hand in hand, by any means.
Okay, I'm gonna ask you, Rob. I think you got the final word on this. The way that we look at it, a lot of communities are struggling to put together a way for students to return back to school, be that grade school all the way up through to college. If you can't go to school, should you be able to go to the field?
That's the funny, because that is a debate that's going on really right now, even among school officials. You know what I mean? Kind of like, okay, they got virtual classes, but it's unsafe for them to be in the traditional educational setting, but you want to allow sport. That's really the debate, honestly, that's going on right now. And the truth of the matter is, sports is a juggernaut right now. It's out of control. You can't stop it. You can't jump in front of this thing. So you can't take it away in any capacity or another, like whether you want to or not. You got to figure out the best way to do it. Now, some people would also come and say, well, Rob, you got to do the same thing with classroom and see if we can get kids into a traditional setting. But virtual school, even before the pandemic, we've seen a lot of that in the schools. Jones, we've seen a lot of that through this E2020 program and virtual learning already. So it really was an easy fix to do all virtual learning for everyone, but sports is just so big, and I think you asking for more problems with which may include safety of kids in another aspect, because again, if you don't have those things for them to participate in, things for them to do, you constantly have more problems, so to speak. I know a lot of people lashing out even during the protests and joining those protests, mainly because of the absence of activities. From us being in high school, we've seen extracurricular activities just go down and down. There's no wood shop no more. There's none of that extra stuff. So if you take away sports, remember that there's really the only extracurricular activity they do in the public schools, at least. I mean, no student governments, any of those things are there. So you take away sports, now you're just asking for kids to pour out into the streets and find entertainment any way, shape, or with the wrong kind of guidance. You know what I mean? So again, I don't think you have no other choice. You got to find a way to, it sounds unfair, so to speak, if you're looking at it from that perspective, but I think trying to control maybe 10 to 15 kids in a sports setting is easier than trying to control 1,000 kids in the school setting. And that's really was my argument with it. It was like, these kids participate in sports. You got these, 15 kids. I can control them a little bit better than trying to figure out all these kids moving all around, 40 kids in a classroom, all those different things. That's too difficult. You know what I mean? So
yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Okay. Shout out to one of our listeners that says, if they can't physically go to school safely, how are they going to play sports? But if they in a sports league outside of school, that's an individual choice, right? And I guess I would have to agree with that. But, I mean, if we're saying that they can gather enough to play sports, then can they not hit the classroom?
Like, I'm not mad at him. I'm not mad at him about it at all. But again, it's one of those things where sports is too big to say I'm just gonna take that away. It's too big. Same way with the NBA. They was like, man, we got to figure out something because we just can't. I mean, NBA obviously is more about money than anything. But again, with the high school thing, it's huge. It's like some kids are mentally struggling right now when you took those sports away for those. It's difficult. And like I said, you're gonna be looking at a whole nother monster that might even be worse, potentially is debatable, but it's whether it's safety of coronavirus and the safety of other things as well, including coronavirus, when you take sports away. So again, like I just think, and I'm not saying I'm right about it, but I just think it's easier to control a small group of kids than anything else, in my personal opinion.
Yeah, I think one of our listeners, Patricia, looks like she agrees with you. Says there's a lot more kids at school than there's going to be on the sports field, and that might be true. But when you look at some of these baseball leagues and such, and you go to some of those fields, there's like hundreds and hundreds of kids playing in these tournaments as well. So, I mean, a horse apiece or whatever they say. So, I don't know if we have all the answers, but I do appreciate all of you guys for joining and answering our questions with this today. Hopefully, shed some light, and we appreciate all you guys that left comments. We do appreciate all of that as well. I want to leave some time. Jones, tell the people where they can find you and what you've been working on, my brother.
I'm the dean of students at Greater Holy Temple Christian Academy. We are still enrolling kids. We do have we are K4 through 8th grade. We are starting off virtual. We do provide Chromebooks for each of our students. We are looking to provide food as well. If you can call and enroll at 414-265-4131.
Okay. And then, if there's anybody that would maybe want to volunteer or offers things to your food program, is there a way to do that?
Yeah. There are some ways. You can also look up on Facebook. We have our own Facebook page, and you can reach out to us that way. And if any help that you can provide, any resources you can provide, we would definitely love it at any capacity.
Right. Because we know a lot of the students may not have all the resources in some of the Milwaukee inner city area than some of the suburban and outside resources may have. So we do thank you for coming and joining us with that. Rob, let the people know where to find you and what you've been on.
Well, I'm a 17U AAU coach for Wisconsin Playmakers. I also coach high school basketball for Milwaukee Hamilton in the city in a conference. So, and we also, myself and my good friend Keelan Tyler, who's the head trainer at Train MKE, we do basketball training and also core strength and conditioning stuff. Unlike my brother Prince, he did the whole thing, you know what I mean? But we do mostly basketball training and core conditioning and skill work as well. So you can follow me just on my personal page. Rob Roberson. Just look me up and you'll see a lot of videos of the stuff that we do and all those different things, as well as the success of our programs as well. Same thing with Twitter. It's Rob Stability on Twitter. I do post a lot of stuff on there as well. So.
Okay, that's what's up. And Prince, let the people know where they can find you.
All right. So I'm working at the Wisconsin Athletic Club as one of the personal trainers there. My focuses are strength training, high intensity interval training, HIIT training, and also motivation. I'm also getting into motivational speaking through one of our clients there. So I'll be doing that pretty soon. So look out for that. You can find me on Instagram at Proper Boy Faith and Fitness.
Okay. Can you let them know what that's all about?
Say again?
What's that Proper Boy Faith and Fitness? Can you let them know what that's all about?
Man, I was trying to keep that under wraps, but I said the next year or so, God willing, this damn coronavirus go back to where it came from, or just go away, period. I'll be opening up my own gym. And that'll be also strength conditioning, high intensity. So that's what I'm working on.
Focus on spirituality as well, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I wanted you to be able to get that off. So, all right. Well, we appreciate all of y'all gentlemen for coming to join the program. I also appreciate all of you guys for tuning in and listening and following along. Hit up the Radio 22 Facebook and also the YouTube page. We appreciate y'all for tuning in. I am the boy, Mizzle to the Jizzle. Once again, you are listening to Radio 22's Talk 22. Until next time, y'all. Peace.
Peace.
Peace.